When I get that feeling, I need sexual healing. Sexual healing, baby. It's good for me. You know who that is, don't you? That's Marvin Gaye. I'm not going to say the word again lest we get chopped off by the Facebook. My name is Richard Francois. Welcome to the Astound Yourself Dating Show, everybody. Tonight we have an awesome show like we always do. And before I get into what our show's about, let me introduce my illustrious co-hostess like we always do. What is your name, illustrious co-hostess?
Thank you, Richard. My name is Elaine Saunders, and I am the illustrative co-hostess of this show, Astound Yourself Dating.
That's right. And Elaine is also an intuitive matchmaker, and I am your dating strategist. We are going to talk today to an amazing, fun guest. She is a returning guest. We had her on before, Stephanie Costello. I will have Elaine introduce her in a moment. But what is today's show about? Oh, today's show is about health. But what kind of health? Oh, the kind of health that happens and that is required for fun in the bedroom behind closed doors. You know what I'm talking about. Now, some of you don't limit that kind of fun to just the bedroom and just the behind closed doors. Some of you like to have that kind of fun out in the wild, out in the open, on the kitchen table. We're not going to ask about your business. We're not going to ask about your business, but tonight is about that kind of health, the health required to maximize your enjoyment with those kinds of athletic activities, if you know what I mean.
Athletic.
I'm having fun with coming up with different ways to describe the S word. Okay. Elaine, without any further ado, why don't you tell us a little bit about our returning guest tonight for those people who have see Stephanie the first time around. Tell them.
Yes, I am so happy to have Stephanie back. If anybody was here the first time, here she is. Isn't she beautiful? She's absolutely beautiful inside and out. She's a sweetheart of a person. She's a coach. She's not your typical relationship coach. She is an intimacy coach and a relationship coach. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Stephanie back on the show. Stephanie Costello, where are you? There you are.
Hi. Thank you for having me again.
We're so happy to have you.
I'm so excited to talk about my favorite topic.
Ooh! So are we. So are we. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So we're here to talk about intimacy tonight. And it's funny, I saw something today. Maybe you could tell us a little, like briefly, what's the difference between intimacy and sex? Can you just start us off with that?
So sexual health is a leg, or sexual intimacy is a leg of intimacy. It's not the entire boat. So there's really no difference. It's a part of it. The different types of intimacy are the educational intimacy or intellectual intimacy, experiential intimacy, like vacations and having fun doing different activities, emotional intimacy, and then there's the non-sexual touch, like kissing and hugging and back rubs that are physical intimacy.
Right.
And then
that's sexual. Nobody told me that.
Yeah.
Well, so many people, they hear the word intimacy and bam, right away they're thinking it's sex, but it's not always sex. But we are here to talk about the S word tonight, right? The S. Okay.
We're going to be talking about it all, actually.
Okay.
Because if we skip the other parts, then we don't get to confidence behind closed doors or wherever you choose to exercise your athletics.
I keep hearing about athletics, and I'm like, sports? Do I have to work out first to get for any of this stuff? Or
well, you don't necessarily have to work out, but there are different exercises that you can practice.
I'm just naive here. I'm coming here with a open mind and a blank slate.
Well, there you go.
Inform me, please. This is a fun and informative show, so
I would love
Let's get on with the fun and the information.
Sure. So do we want to go over the first question? Yes. There it is. How can couples begin enticing each other outside of the bedroom?
Ooh, enticement. I like that word. It begins with an E.
Yes. Enticing. There's lots of different ways, and everybody's different. Everyone has different ways of enticing themselves or increasing their arousal, right? And most of it starts with basic things like the word choice that we have, things like love languages. And so love languages, when you say that, the people are like, oh, that's so much work. Or they'll take that little free test and then they'll never do anything with what they learned. And it's like, no, wait a minute. The answers you get actually give you lots of information. So if somebody loves if their main love language is words of affirmation, well, there's ways that you can entice them with words of affirmation to get them to enjoy or feel better about getting behind closed doors and starting that process and enjoying their night with you. Right.
I just want to insert something there, Stephanie. So
Please.
Just a word of caution. It's good, it sounds like, to learn the other person's love language and to then utilize it to speak with them. But there's a risk of using that as a manipulation to get what you want. In other words, if your partner's love language is words of affirmation, sure, practice giving words of affirmation, but don't do it only when you want to go do athletics in the bedroom or the kitchen table or wherever.
Which is why we can't just jump into the conversation of behind closed doors, because if someone is, if that's their ultimate goal and they haven't had any other goals, usually when I get to a place of having this sexual health conversation, we've had lots of conversation around self-development and relationship development, so that they already have those skills of understanding that manipulation is not a tactic of getting what you want, and they're of a healthy mindset in their relationship so that they can start utilizing these skills to the benefit of everyone in the relationship.
Excellent.
So if I'm hearing you right, enticing somebody by communicating with them in a way that they understand, that they can relate to. When I saw that, I thought like flirting kind of, which doesn't work with everybody, I guess, huh?
Well, so it depends on how you like to be flirted with, right? And that's your love language. So if words of affirmation is your love language, you can flirt with somebody using words of affirmation. You can flirt with somebody using, I'm trying to think of the other love languages here.
Receiving gifts and quality time.
Gifts. And you can flirt with somebody. Yep, acts of service. You can flirt with somebody through an act of service, right? You can flirt with somebody through the quality time. It depends on how they enjoy their quality time. That's the piece when I said, people take that test and then they never do anything with it. Well, My picture of quality time is most certainly different than both of your pictures. Getting my rocks off, have some serious, emotional, intelligent conversation with me, and we could go all night long. That's just kind of how my brain works. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where everybody else's quality time is going to be so different than my version of quality time. So having that conversation is vital.
And when is it a good time to have such conversations? Is it just before closing the door, or is it midway to the work day during lunch? What's the good time to start having those conversations to warm up the engine?
I get that question with everything that I do. When is the good time? When's the right time? When should I say this? When should I say that? There is no right time except for what you think is the right time. We can do some brainstorming around when the right time is, right? So if you're talking to two people that you just hooked up, or I don't know if that's an appropriate term that you use in your industry, but if you just got a couple together, right? And they've only been dating, say, 3 months, and they're still kind of getting coaching from you, or however the coaching process works. At 3 months, that conversation is going to not be the same as if you've been married for 10 years and have children, right?
Yes.
So the right time is really dependent on where you are in your relationship. Now, if you're at 3 months, your partner works crazy hours, they're working from 6 a.m. to, say, 5 p.m. Well, at 5 p.m., do you think it's the right time? Probably not, because they've exerted all of their energy all day long. They haven't had a chance to break. If you're wanting some behind bedrooms, like behind closed door athletics or bedroom athletics, then you can most certainly ask for it. Just know that at 5 p.m. it might not be well received because of the lack of energy and the lack of ability to jump in. Now, if that's somebody's stress relief, although I don't recommend using bedroom activities as a stress relief.
Why not, I wonder? But I want to hear why not, though.
So the if that's someone's if they enjoy releasing that type of energy in those moments, then I think it's a healthy thing as long as both parties are understanding what's happening and it's not done in a codependent way. If somebody builds up their stress all day long and then releases it during bedroom activities, and that's the only time they release their stress, that's not healthy coping.
Okay. So there ought to be other ways to cope with that stress. Hobbies, interests, I don't know, jigsaw puzzles.
Well, let's put it this way: if a partner depends on the other partner for stress relief, it could become problematic because one day they're going to come home stressed out and that person's not going to be in the mood and it's going to lead to some frustration, I guess. Is that what you mean? Is that what you're saying?
100%. And in the beginning, sometimes that kind of stuff happens because it's new and it's the honeymoon phase and there's this level of addiction in their brain chemistry and all the studies show that sex, your brain, they do brain scans. Your brain is experiencing the same thing as if you were doing heroin during the honeymoon phase of relationships. So it's a very highly addictive time where losing control and of our being who we typically would be is not typically who we are in the honeymoon phase. So that's all ebb and flow of learning.
So you're talking about dopamine and chemicals like that light up if you were to do a scan at that time of the brain. Yes. You're talking about the scientifics of what we're talking about, the science behind it. Or
sorry, getting all nerdy on you.
No, I love it. I love it because I find people are looking for a physiological feeling when it comes to love and relationships. And a lot of times it is hormonal and scientific, and they're looking for something from someone that's kind of out of control. It's out of your control.
Exactly.
How you respond to somebody with those chemicals in your brain and it does lead to your heart. It does.
It's all part of the process.
It's all, but yeah. So you have to be, it's good to be aware of it. Some people aren't aware of it. So that's why we have you here.
Yes.
Help us be more aware.
Thank you.
And there's our next question right on cue. Go ahead, Stephanie.
So we can be healthy.
100%.
So we can make healthy choices, healthiness. Right?
What are some ways to feel confident in the bedroom? Yes. So there's a few ways, and I'm trying to think because I had a few other points that I wanted to share for the last question, but that they actually flow right into this. Cool. Lingerie is obviously a huge thing, and in feeling confident in the bedroom, especially for women who or men, but particularly women who haven't had have had babies. Right? Mm-hmm. Their body has significantly shifted during their time of pregnancy. So allowing themselves to feel sexy in that moment is really a key factor to the evolution of their release or their ability to enjoy the moment rather than have all of their head trash taking control. Another way to entice outside of the bedroom is put on lingerie underneath your outfit and then show a little bit of it without them knowing. So now they have to sit and think about what you look like in that lingerie for the entire meal. Richard is like, yeah, I know what that would feel like.
Man. That sounds like sweet torture.
Exactly. So that's a great way to entice. Another way of confidence in the bedroom is not jumping right into the act behind. Like once you close the door, Richard, that was a great question before. Once you close the door, having some sort of activity that you can entice each other with. So this book,
Chinese checkers.
Yeah, Chinese checkers. Exactly. Some people feel like it's like playing Chinese checkers. This book is a great book. This book has all different genres of questions, 365 questions for couples. One of the parts is sex. And here, I'm just going to pull up one question and see.
What is the name of the book, Stephanie? I'm going to put it in the comments in case anybody. 365
questions for couples.
Okay.
What qualities do you find sexy in people that you're attracted to? Do you find these qualities in me? That's not necessarily like a super sexy one, but that's one that can open up some vulnerable conversation.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing about having sex with me? That is a great question.
That's an
right?
excellent question. I think, yeah, what I like about this question is it leads for the sharing of information that one might assume is obvious.
Yeah.
Because, hey, you're just continually having sex ongoingly, regularly. You might assume you know what the person likes, and you might be surprised when they share about this thing that you do that you're self-conscious of, like it just happens automatically. I don't like the way I sound when X, Y, or Z happens. And they go, "Are you kidding? That's my favorite part."
Yeah.
What do you think?
Little did you know.
You've been trying to rein that in. Please, no. It lends itself to having to being pleasantly surprised. I think that question. I want to go back to the thing you said about lingerie earlier.
I bet you do.
One of the things I think is important about the lingerie is not only the wearing of it and feeling confident about that, but the feedback, getting that feedback, the reinforcing feedback from your partner, whether it be like their eyes popping out, the sounds they make, the verbal comments, or just the way they react, like bringing out some animal out of them just because of the way you're dressed. That can be very empowering. Now, did you say lingerie for men also? Are you implying that for some men that's a way they feel confident wearing women's lingerie, or wearing
it doesn't necessarily have to be women's lingerie.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily have to be women's lingerie, but there are ways for men to feel confident in themselves, and so lingerie may have been the wrong word for the term for focusing on men, but wearing a really nice crisp suit makes some men feel really strong and confident. Wearing like leather gloves, or not leather, like a non-porous kind of material, which leather is porous, so the liquids would soak up into it, whatever liquids would be experienced. And so gloves can be something that make somebody confident. A bow tie, just a bow tie on their neck could make somebody feel right. Like there's all these different ways to really be explorative and give yourself the opportunity to feel confident in your body without allowing the head trash to take control.
Very good. I just want to say hello to the people who are watching, even though we don't see very many of them admitting to be watching. We know there's a few of you watching. Well, hi to you, Ruben. Thank you for saying you're here. And hello, Carla. Thank you for saying that you're here. If you're here, it's okay to be shy. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's also okay to say hello. If you have a question, a comment, something to add, do share. We love that. And if your preference is to just continue taking in the conversation, that's okay. By all means, continue doing that. There's no wrong way to watch the Astound Yourself dating show. Stephanie, back to you. Any other thoughts on what we've talked about so far? I want to make sure that you get...
I have another little tip, and there's these, I'm sure you could find these date night cards really anywhere. These are date night cards from an organization that I work with. And they have different things that you can pull from the card. So there's like action for the guy, action for the girl, pillow talk. Tell me what you think about, and then another ad, just a general action card. Who wants to pick which one I pick?
What do you mean?
I'm going to pick a card and use it as an example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Pillow talk? Well, we'll see. What does it say? Okay, so another one, basically like the book. So pillow talk is explain what you love most about me. So that one gives a lot of using your so everyone has different preferences in how they express themselves. So that's a great way for the female and the male to express themselves in a way that's not sexual. And then, so let's see. Okay, so action for the guy. Kiss and lick your partner's neck up to her ear for 1 minute. Right, so it gives you little ways to entice.
Up to the ear for 1 minute.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so it gives these kind of cards when there's that like, I don't know what to do. This is so new, or we've been together for too long and we're kind of running out of ideas and we don't know how to spice it up. This card game is a great way to spice things up without one or the other having to think too hard about it.
Well, you don't have to think at all. It's spelled out for you. Literally, bam.
Exactly.
I mean, you could always say, okay, I'm not okay with this card, right? I mean, if you weren't okay with it, but for the most part, why wouldn't you be if it's going to get the wheels turning again if they haven't been turning for a while, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I agree.
Well,
So,
somebody just put me on the spot here. Rosa Murphy has a question.
yes, this is a great
What
question.
if the
Thank
guy
you, Rosa.
reacts upset to lingerie because he doesn't know if you worn it for someone else before? That is an excellent question. I don't know. So for me as a guy, if somebody's wearing lingerie, the last thing I'm thinking of is who else got to see it, because I'm seeing it right now. So I don't care about the history of it.
Smart
As
man.
long as it's clean, like wash it, right? As
We'll
long
go
as
with
it's
hope.
clean. I'm not at the moment thinking about who got to see it before, because
So-
I'm getting to see it now. But I
So maybe-
understand the question. Like, if the guy is thinking about, hey, you know, what if you've worn this for someone else before, then maybe it's time to change the subject and say, well, maybe you should quickly remove it. Maybe that's what you say to him.
You got the answers there, buddy.
Maybe you should remove it quickly, so we don't have to think about
Get it off fast. Yeah.
And maybe it's, depending on how long this relationship has been going on, this could be a time for him to take you shopping for something he likes.
There you go.
Whether or not you worn it before, it doesn't matter. Like, he takes you shopping, you pick something together. Now he knows it's your thing together. That could be something, but this is not the time to start nitpicking and looking at how many miles you have on the lingerie.
This is really time to say something.
This could be a mood killer. So I say deflect and proceed. What do you say, Stephanie?
I say there's a lot in that question that states what the individual has to really work on themselves, and that you, as the lingerie wearer, it's not your responsibility to try to fix it for him. He definitely has to own his own. I would use a vulgar term here, so I can't necessarily say it now, but he has to own his own stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's a problem,
own
if
your poop, sir. Own your poop.
So that's the thing. Yeah, it's time to like take a step back and talk about the relationship at that point. If he's questioning who you wore the lingerie for prior, then that's kind of like taking the wind out of your sails, to say the least. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have to see, is this the type of person who's going to accuse you like, oh, did you wear that lipstick for somebody else? Or
Absolutely. That's a great point.
So where does it end on that one? But for the playfulness, if he's not along for the playful ride, if he doesn't like lingerie because it's going to freak him out, maybe he had an ex-lover who had a habit of wearing the same thing for 20 different men, and he's hung up on that problem. That's not you don't own that. That's his problem, not yours.
Mm.
By the time you get to 18 men, you should change it out.
Am I the only one that sees the questions?
No, we can see them. We're gonna. I'll read this one to you. I think it's nicer when someone else reads the question and you get to answer. What do you think? So, how do couples navigate feeling disconnected from their bodies? I'm not sure if it means connected from each other's bodies or individual bodies with each other. However you hear it and understand it, how do couples navigate feeling disconnected from their bodies, Stephanie?
Yes. So this one I'm really excited to talk about, because this one is where we recognize, as the individual who's feeling disconnected from our own body, that we're not broken. And understanding how, I'm going to get a little nerdy again on you guys, the brain and the body is connected and how it impacts our bedroom lives. There is a book called Come, C-O-M-E, As You Are, Come As You Are, by Emily Nagoski. And she talks about something called nonconcordance. And this is not widely discussed in the sexual health industry, which is really sad, because it's something that is a key factor for couples and individuals to know about their bodies. So she shares a story in her book that I'm going to be sensitive in how I share this story. The book is going to be much more descriptive, and if you'd like to listen to the book, please go ahead and download it on Audible or buy it. It's an amazing book. She talks about a friend in college that she had that had an encounter with a partner, and the encounter with the partner is that they experienced some athletic acts behind closed doors, and their partner left them there and left, and then came back later on. And when their partner came back later on, the college friend's comment toward the partner was, "I did not like that." And then their response to them was, "Well, if you didn't like it, then why is your sexual organs responding to this very particular experience?" And so for her, she felt disobeyed by her body. She felt like her body, something was wrong with her. Like, why is her body showing a reaction in a like way that, but her brain is not enjoying this very specific incident. And so this is called non-concordance. And so then it kind of goes along with like even a male can have an erection, and they may not actually be enjoying the encounter. And so it's very important. Communication is key behind closed doors when you're exploring anything. It can be the simplest thing, like licking from your ear to your neck. Some people may not like that. They may react to it because their body is being stimulated, but their brain might be like, yeah, no, this isn't doing anything for me, or I really don't like this. And being able to have a conversation about it is really, really, really important.
So that's fascinating, and the term that comes to mind when you say that is cognitive dissonance, which is a very different thing, but it sounds like, in a way, this is that dissonance that's happening between what the mind knows, what the mind is used to, what the person's sexual history dictates that they enjoy, and then the body having a completely different reaction that then they were left trying to sort out and reconcile is what seems to be happening.
Absolutely.
If you've had that experience as somebody who's watching the show, what Stephanie is saying is that doesn't make you a broken person. That's actually, for some people, part of their experience, part of their journey. There's nothing wrong with you, with it. That's something that happens. It happens so much that there's a scientific name for it. And now the opportunity is, how do you sort it out, parse it out? How do you dance with it? What do you get to make of it? Something that you experienced like that. It doesn't mean that anything was or is wrong. Yes?
Exactly. And making something of it means that the next time you encounter each other, you're not worried about, oh no, what if this happens again? And again, the head trash isn't eating you alive. You're able to let go of that feeling of being broken and come in a whole way, and come in a way that's like, okay, let's try this new thing. Let's try this different way, instead of trying to go back to and beating, a dead horse, so to speak.
Yes.
And it's empowering, it's enlightening, it makes the bedroom life so much more freeing, rather than this like robotic or this like scary kind of encounter.
Is it also true then, Stephanie, that one of the things that's important with this exploration, these encounters, these discoveries, is there's got to be a safe space? That is to say, a space where judgment or being right is not the rule of the day, but acceptance and curiosity instead of that. For example, when your roommate's partner came back and said, well, how is it that you say you didn't like it, but your body looks and reacts this way? That sounds like he was presented more as a curiosity versus, oh, really? Well, your body says otherwise, so...
In the book, it was the later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was more of an accusation. Okay.
Yeah.
And that doesn't sound like it enhances the experience. That actually, which is why your roommate had the reaction and response that she then did.
Yes.
And so there's an opportunity and also responsibility as the other person to have it be more of an exploration and inquiry versus a trial.
Exactly. And that's where the two of you come in. When you're coaching people, you both have the opportunity to coach people in that realm. Do you have those conversations when you're matchmaking?
I do not. I
okay.
have not gotten that deep involved in the intimate life of my clients. I typically introduce people and get them launched into the relationship. And once they start really getting involved in that way, I kind of back off because it's not my area of expertise.
Got it.
I said before the show, I'm naive, I'm inexperienced. I
You're
know
too
what
funny.
goes-
Yeah.
So this is where you come in, Stephanie. This is
I
where
guess
That's
so.
why we're having you
I'm
on
all
this.
for it.
see each other. You have the next person
So-
for you to see in your journey.
Yeah, and let me clarify. I do it completely virtually, and all clothes stay on.
There you go.
All clothes stay on. Now you just
Yes.
lost all potential clients.
I'm fine with that. If I'm to support someone in a journey, it's all through explaining each other's wants and needs with their words and not showing me.
That's right. It's tell, don't show. Get it, people? It's tell, don't show.
There are other coaches that will do that. That's just not my area
Oh,
of
really?
focus.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yes.
Yes, surrogates, right?
are-
Like the surrogates.
There are such thing as surrogate partners. There are such a thing as intimacy coaches that will go into a bedroom with a couple and help them in the moment with the right way to rub each other. I don't know that they actually act and they're part of the act. I think they just do it in a way that is a coaching session so that the couple
Wow.
can learn it together with guidance rather than trying to go and fail and not knowing what to do next.
That's
Has to take
interesting.
some next level boundaries to be able to do that and do it effectively. And I wanted to
100%.
bring a laser pointer with them. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna make so many jokes about this, but wow.
There's actually intimacy coaches that help actors. And something I thought about doing at some point where, if an actor is in two actors are in an intimate scene and they're not comfortable with the way it's happening, then the actors then you'll be able to see that as the viewer. The viewers will know that it's not something that the actors were actually enjoying. So yeah, that's something I would love to do someday is teaching actors. And that brings making this type of work and communicating about respecting boundaries, as you were saying, respecting people's desires, understanding what people like and don't like. That's all part of the process. Just jumping into things and thinking we know what we want or what the other person wants. Just because we want something doesn't mean the other person wants or likes it. And so it's very important to have these conversations in an open, vulnerable way where each party can really say, okay, this is how I like it. And then be able to have just release and have fun without worry.
Very
Fun
cool.
without worry. That is the message for the show, everybody. Fun without worry. If you liked what was discussed today, and if you really got value out of what Stephanie shared, if you're somebody who loves to nerd out on everything, including the topic of hanky panky, Stephanie is the coach for you. Hanky panky. I'm bringing that term back. I mean, if I can't say the S word on Facebook,
the birds and the bees talk.
It is.
Yeah. Oh,
I would like to share.
Stephanie
I do
is
have
the intimacy, relationship, and hanky panky coach.
Hanky panky coach. I love it. I would like to share. I do have a podcast called the Intimacy Truths Podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple, Google. It's all over the place. It's still new, so it's sometimes you have to do a little bit of searching to find it. But the Intimacy Truths Podcast, and we do talk about some hanky panky, but we do also talk about all of the other stuff that is important to discuss. That's not behind closed doors, right? Behind closed doors is part of the equation, not all of the equation.
Excellent.
Awesome.
So go look for that. Go look for everybody. Oh, look, Tammy Lambert said, thank you guys. Very informative. So you reached Tammy today. Thank you for watching the show, Tammy. Good to see you. This is it for us. The time is already up, everybody. Thank you all for watching the show. I'm going to give Stephanie a moment to tell us where else we can find her besides her podcast. What's your website, Stephanie? Tell them where they can find you and really dive into the science of hanky panky and intimacy.
I love it. My podcast, my website is www.kbromance.com. My business is Cardinal Blue Romance. I'll be rebranding soon, which is really exciting. But you can still check me out there right now, and then Facebook as well, Instagram, and I'll be starting a YouTube channel. So I'm going to be doing lots of interviews and putting those interviews on the YouTube channel where you can see similar to this, but solely posted on YouTube.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Excellent.
On to you, Elaine Saunders.
Speaking,
where can people find you?
I was going to say, speaking of YouTube, this will be on YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel at Dynamic Introductions. So, Stephanie, if you want to grab this to put it on yours and share, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I am on the World Wide Web at www.dynamicintroductions.com and on Facebook. You could find me at Dynamic Introductions, and every Thursday here at Astound Yourself Dating with my buddy Richard.
I can vouch for it. She's here every Thursday.
I know. You can't get rid of me.
I've been trying. Well, if you're looking for me, I'm your dating strategist, and I can be found here on the Astound Yourself dating page. You can also look for me at grichard360.com. If you are a nice guy who's heard things like, you're so sweet, you're so kind, I wish there were more men like you, don't ever change, but you get hugs and handshakes instead of kisses and love bites, I'm the coach for you. I have a masterclass coming up in April where we'll talk to you on how to be more magnetic and attractive. You'll start attracting and stop chasing. This is the Astound Yourself Dating Show. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next week. Good night.
Good night, everyone.